Hello! I mean this big ass cup of tea. Hello everybody, Aylin Hart here, and it is Friday night. I actually did not plan on making a video tonight. I just got home from having a sushi night with my friends. I've had a little bit of sake and my belly is full of fish, but I logged on to Facebook and I was just scrolling through and looking at some posts, and there is something that I've been seeing for the last few weeks and I just had to talk about it. This isn't the video I plan on making this week. It's just the one that happened because I feel like there's just kind of something I want to say to all of my writer friends. Charles Bukowski said that the problem is that bad writers tend to be full of self-confidence while good writers tend to be full of self-doubt. And that is what I want to talk about tonight. More than one of my author friends, multiple author friends, I have just been seeing posts all over social media that people are filled with doubt about their writing, and they're doubting that they're good enough, and they're feeling like they can't compete, and they're feeling like giving up, and I just wanted to say something about that. The first thing that I think that is good to remember about doubt is to really think about that quote by Bukowski. Now, if you know me personally, you know that Charles Bukowski is one of my favorites, and not like in some cool like Twitter universe kind of way. Like, I've just always really identified with Bukowski. He's always been one of my favorites. And so I love that quote because the truth is that, first of all, if you are doubting your writing, I think that it honestly deep down means that you care and that you have passion. Because if you didn't care and if you didn't have passion about your writing, you wouldn't be thinking about it enough to have some self-doubts about your writing. And I also don't necessarily think that having doubt is a bad thing, because that means that you care enough to want to improve. And so I think that that's something to definitely, keep in mind when you're feeling down or you're feeling like maybe your writing isn't good enough. So I want to say a few things about having self-doubt and feeling like you want to give up and feeling like you're not good enough and feeling like you can't live up to everyone's expectations and wondering why certain people are having more success than you and what have you. So I want to tell you a little story about when I first started writing, and this was 2 years ago, and I can remember this vividly, and I share this story because it's human. I had a human experience. So I released my first book, it was May of 2017, and I released my first book at the exact same time as this other author. And I'm not going to say their name because it really doesn't matter. What matters is what I learned from it. That other author had an incredible amount of success. I remember seeing her in all kinds of reader groups doing takeovers, and everybody was talking about her book, and she had I think it was 100 reviews, and she was getting all these sales, and she was going to book signings, and other indie authors were talking about the book and sharing the cover, and I was so freaking monumentally jealous I couldn't even stand myself. And that is just the God's honest truth. I sat on the sidelines wondering, okay, what is she doing that I'm not doing? She's a brand new author just like me, and she's got 1,000 people in her reader group and 100 reviews and all this kind of stuff. And I could not stop comparing myself to this person and wondering what they had done that I didn't do. And I would, I read her book, and I tried getting in her group and just seeing what was going on. Why am I not having this kind of success? And just really, quite honestly, beating myself up and feeling really shitty about it. It honestly took me a little while to get out of that and to stop comparing myself to another person. I think that the truth is that when it comes to other authors' success, and especially early on, some of it is just luck, some of it is who you know, some of it is getting the right person to read your book at the right time. There's so many factors that go into it. And when I was able to take a step back and get over myself a little bit, I instead concentrated on writing another book. And then I wrote another book, and I wrote another book. And what happened for me was that I had slow growth. And I still don't have thousands of Facebook followers, and I don't have hundreds of reviews on my books, and that is okay with me. I decided a long ago that organic growth, even if it was really slow, is more important to me than a fast growth. And that my love of writing and my love of telling stories is more important to me than comparing myself to other people, and quite honestly just beating myself up about things that are out of my control. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And it is a quote that we have heard time and time again. I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm not saying anything different than anybody has ever said to you, but it is absolutely true. Comparing yourself to other people will do nothing for you. It will not make you feel better. It will make you feel worse. No matter how high up in the game you get, no matter how successful you get, there's always going to be someone who's doing it better than you, who has more success than you, who has more followers than you, has bigger sales than you, and has higher rank than you. The only thing that's going to happen by you comparing your rank and sales and reviews to other people is once again mentally beat yourself down. Now, this is easier said than done. It is not an easy thing to stop comparing yourself to other people, especially when it's something that is so tangible in the book world, like when you can see reviews and you can see sales rank, which, by the way, changes every hour. So it really doesn't mean that much. Someone could have had a 99-cent sale and spiked their rank up, and it really in the long run means nothing until you're breaking that, Kindle top 100 or the Amazon top 100, or you're hitting USA Today or even New York Times. Then it means something. Just ranking in your category really doesn't mean anything, which is funny for me to say because I have broke top 100 in my category, and there was a time where I thought it was a bigger deal than it really was. But I quickly realized that it didn't mean much at all. It didn't make me a bestseller, even though I was a bestseller in 4 countries. I'm not like an international bestseller by any means. I broke a category, and that's all I did. When I'd see other people do that in the beginning, I would get really excited and I would get jealous and I would feel so many different things until I realized it's all fluctuating all the time. So really take a step back when you are seeing people posting on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and I know I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it, kind of that humble brag, like, look what category I broke, or look how much I sold, and because we're honestly proud of ourselves, but we also kind of want people to know how good we're doing. I mean, deep down we're all doing that, and it's really hard to just kind of take that step back and let them have that moment, and don't wonder what it is that they did that you didn't do. I think that honestly there is probably somebody watching you right now, and they are looking up to you, and they are wondering why they can't be as good as you are, or what it takes to get to where you are now. If you're going to a lot of book signings, or maybe you have a lot of fans, or people are always sharing your stuff, you never know who is watching you and who is looking up to you and looking at you as what they want their next step in their author journey to be. No matter how big or small you are, you don't know. You could be someone's pinnacle of their next step of what they want to achieve. The next thing that I think to do with that self-doubt is, if you really are doubting yourself as a writer and maybe wondering if you're good enough, or how to get better, maybe you take that time to get better, to study the craft of writing and to learn how to do it better, and to learn more about dialogue and scene setting and action and story arc and all kinds of stuff. I know, again, that was another step I took with that first book, when I was obsessively comparing myself to not only that author but to other indie authors, and just really beating myself up all the time about what could I do. And I started to realize maybe I can take this time to make myself better. And I did. I have a massive library of writing books, and I took online writing courses, and I watched YouTube videos, and I did everything I could to learn as much about telling stories as I could. And I am by no means an expert, but from where I started to my next book, to my next book, to my next book, there's always a gradual improvement. And I'm the kind of person, I will never be fully satisfied with what I know. I have a thirst for knowledge. I always want to be better. I always think there's room for improvement. I'm kind of an overachieving twat like that. But I always think that there's more that you can learn. And so if you are having doubts about your writing and doubts about how you compare and doubts about not being good enough, maybe take those feelings, those intense feelings of doubt, and transform them into a desire to be better and learn everything you can and write another book and make it better than the last one. And that is your stepping stone. Instead of having other people's success be your stepping stone, make your own progressive success your stepping stone. Because every time you write a book, the next one's going to be better. And every time you have a release, it should be better than the one before it. If you're going to be comparing yourself to anybody, maybe you should be comparing yourself only to yourself and use those opportunities for growth to get better. The next thing that I think it's important to remember with having those moments of self-doubt and the feelings of not being good enough and everything else, and this is a little bit of tough love, but maybe it's time to manage your expectations. And maybe that sounds really harsh, but I'll explain to you what I mean. I read something the other day, and it said that expectations are conjecture based on the perceived outcome of a situation. Really, what I think that comes down to is deciding what is a goal and what is an aspiration. Now, let's say you have a list of goals written down, and your list of goals is write 5,000 words over the weekend. And on your list of goals is, I want to be selling this much a month by the end of the year. And I want to hit this list by the end of the year. Using myself, that was an actual goal list. I'm not going to say my dollar amount, and I'm not going to say what list I wanted to meet. But I had on my goal list a dollar amount that I wanted to be selling every month by the end of the year. And I also had which list I wanted to hit by the end of the year, how many books I wanted to write, how much I wanted to write a day, and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the year, I felt really shitty because I didn't meet my goals. And what I had to do was, again, take that step back and look at myself and manage my expectations. What does that mean? Goals and aspirations are two very different things. Goals are something that you can control. Aspirations are something you have very little control over. So while writing 5,000 words in a weekend is a goal because that's controllable, releasing X amount of books a year is a goal because that is controllable. Hitting a list and selling a certain amount of books and making a certain amount of money is not a goal. That is an aspiration because I have very little control over that. So changing that mindset about goals versus aspirations really changed how I feel about what I want to achieve. How many times when you meet someone new and you tell them that you write books or that you're an author, how many times have you heard, oh, I want to write a book. Oh man, I've been meaning to write a book, but I haven't had the time. How many people have you met who want to write a book? Well, guess what? You wrote a book. That shit is amazing. You reached a goal that other people have not been able to reach, and you need to celebrate that for yourself. So I think that that is the next thing that you need to do when you're having those moments of self-doubt, is you need to celebrate all those little wins. I set small, achievable goals for myself. So if I have a goal of, again, maybe writing 5,000 words in a weekend, if I meet that goal, I treat myself. Maybe I go get a new nail polish or buy a bottle of wine or something like that. Every time I finish a book, I always have the same little ritual. I go to the fancy section of the cheese in the store and I get fancy expensive cheese and I get olives and like really yummy fruit, and I'll either get wine or some delicious sparkling water. And I have a little I finished a book celebration, and it's just become my thing. And if you've stalked me on Instagram long enough, then you know that this is the picture that I always post, is of my little cheese and fruit platter. because it's what I do to celebrate meeting that goal for myself. And then every time I have a release, I go out to dinner with my friends, and by celebrating all of my small wins and by celebrating meeting all of my little goals, no matter how good or bad a book sells on release day, because I've had both amazing ones and really bad ones, I'm still going to celebrate a release day, because I always think about how many people have always told me that they want to write a book and they haven't written that book, and I've written the book. I have achieved that goal and I can control that. The thing with doubt is that we all suffer from it, and people can say what they want. All suffer from moments of doubt. And I think that you just need to remind yourself of why you started writing books in the first place. Did you start writing books because you thought you were going to get famous? Did you start writing books because you honestly thought you were going to be a New York Times bestseller? Did you start writing books because you saw yourself up there hobnobbing with the likes of, Nora Roberts and Jackie Collins and Robin Carr and all these people? Because if that is why you started writing books, then you probably started writing books for the wrong reason. I write books because I have stories inside of me that I want to tell, which makes me sound like a crazy person, but I'm kind of a crazy person. I write books because of the joy of writing. I write books because if one person reads it and it touched them and they email me and they tell me that I made them cry and they never cry at books, or if they tell me that they identified with one of my characters, that to me is enough. That to me is success. I will take my 830 Facebook followers any day of the week because I gained probably 75 to 80% of them organically. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that slow growth. I'm okay with having less than 200 people follow me on YouTube. Why? Because, hey, 200 people are following me on YouTube. Like, that's pretty cool. If 200 people want to listen to what I have to say, I'll take that. So I write stories because I have stories inside of me I want to tell. I write books because I want to touch at least one person, and if one person connects with me over my book, that to me is a win. And I make YouTube videos because if one person messages me and says, hey, I just found your videos, I really like them, insert, whatever it is that I've had people email me and tell me, then that is good enough for me. I could absolutely compare myself to other people and wonder why, they have 35,000 followers and I have 184 followers or whatever it is. But I'm not doing that because I believe in slow growth. I believe in being organic. I believe in that. And I really work hard to overcome doubt and to find inspiration and to celebrate my wins and to stop comparing myself to other people. Now, does that mean that I sometimes don't do it? I absolutely do. And then I snap myself out of it and I pull myself back and I stop comparing myself to other people. The last thing that I want to say about this is about money, because when you're talking about money, things get complicated and interesting, right? So we write books, sometimes we make money. We spend a lot of money sometimes to make very little money. And when it comes down to editors and covers and formatting and images and PR companies, and if you use paid review services like Hidden Gems or Shifted Sheets, that all adds up. And when you start looking at how much you are spending versus how much you're bringing in, it can be a little depressing. And that's where I think that you need to start really thinking about how much money you're putting out versus how much you're bringing in, and is what you're putting out worth it? Now, before I say this, photographers, models, PR companies, formatters, everybody, you all have a place in the industry. All I'm saying is sometimes you need to think about where you can cut back. If you are a brand new author and you just spent $700 on a cover image of a model, you're probably not going to make that money back. So before you spend that $700 for a custom photograph, you need to decide deep down in your heart, are you okay with not making that $700 back, because you also have to pay somebody to make your cover and format your book, someone to edit your book, and everything else. Then you need to get people to get their eyes on you. And are you going to pay a PR company, $70, $90, $100, $200? Is that worth it? And sometimes these are the cuts that you have to make. I've seen brand new authors who are spending crap loads of money on custom photographs and going to all these book signings and doing all this stuff, and they're not getting the money back. And here's the simple truth. We all judge a book by its cover. They taught us not to when we were little kids, but we do. So we think that by buying these expensive photographs, which, hello, guilty, love buying expensive photographs, but I make cuts elsewhere, it's not going to get people to buy your book. And you need to know that going into it. It might get more eyes on your book when the photographer and the model are sharing your book on social media. Yes, it will get more eyes on your book, but that doesn't necessarily convert to sales, and you need to know that going in. Spending money to have someone format your book when it's something you could easily learn on your own through many tutorials on YouTube or all over the internet, or even by using free things like Draft to Digital or Kindle Create. It's easy to do yourself if you just spend a little bit of time learning how to do it. Spend your money on the things that matter, like editing and getting a good cover designed. And when it comes down to PR companies, that's another decision that you have to make. Are you willing to spend X amount of money to have a PR company send your stuff out to bloggers and have them post it, all in the hopes of people buying your book? I've had mixed experiences with PR companies, and I'm gonna say that probably one of the best releases that I've had in a really long time was with something like this. I did not use a PR company. All I did was ask all my author friends if I could post in their groups, and then all of my author friends reposted for me, and I had probably one of the best releases that I've had in a really long time. Again, I think what I'm saying is that you need to sit down and look at what you're spending and look at where you can make cuts, and then also be okay knowing that you might lose money with the first few books. You might lose money with the first 5 or 6 books, and it's completely normal, and it's something that none of us talk about. None of us talk about the money that we're losing. It's a really hard truth, and you have to just decide how much money are you willing to put out to get very little back for at least a little while. If you truly are feeling down about yourself and really feeling like it's time to give up and really feeling like you're never going to be good enough, and are your stories good enough, and is your writing good enough, maybe it's time to just take a little step back and remove yourself from it for a little while. Maybe read some other books, maybe go read some of your good reviews, maybe go into a reader group and just talk to your readers or talk to your other author friends and just kind of get some positive reinforcement and start to feel good about yourself, or even just take a little break from writing and regain that passion again. I know after my last release, part of me was kind of like, I feel like sometimes I'm done with this, and it was taking a solid 2.5 to 3 months off of writing to finally be like, okay, no, this is part of who I am. I'm just not going to push myself as hard and really give up that huge aspiration list that I had and just write for the pure joy of writing, and that's okay with me. What I'm saying is, please don't give up. There is a reason you started writing books in the first place. When you're having those moments, the best thing to do is just reel yourself in and think about why you got started in the first place, and to just really celebrate all those small wins and celebrate everything that you do along the way. Remember, you wrote a book. A lot of people have the goal or aspiration to write a book and they don't do it, and you did it and you keep doing it, and maybe you've done it 1 time, maybe you've done it 10 times or 20 times. It is never not amazing to finish a book and hold it in your hands and have someone read it and love it. That feeling never goes away. We are all human beings who suffer from moments of self-doubt, and it's totally okay to be like that. I hope that someone out there who is feeling this way watches this video and gets a little bit of comfort. As I say to everybody, and I've said in some other videos before, I am always here if anybody ever wants to talk, and if you ever need a little pep talk, I'm your girl right here. I'm a great cheerleader. So if you liked today's video, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can get alerts every time I post a new video. All right, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.